All right, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar today. My name is Arpad Lahosky. I am the sales manager with Pharmaceutical Enterprise. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I know it's a difficult time for everyone with these conditions. So this is going to be my first time actually hosting a session like this, and it makes it unique, obviously, since we're doing this from home. So when the marketing team and I got together on kicking some ideas around on this type of presentation, we figured the best person to start a Q&A session with would be the founder and CEO of GlobalVision, Reuben Malz. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and start the broadcast. We're going to show you myself. We'll turn my camera on. So there I am. Good afternoon, everyone. And Reuben Malz will be joining. There is Reuben as well. So Reuben, welcome to the Q&A. Good to be with you today.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So my first question, Reuben, is where exactly are you?
I'm in a closet up north. I'm in my country house, which is about 100 kilometers north, 100 miles north of Montreal. Basically hiding out here.
Nice. Well, good for you. And I'm obviously working from home, as I guess most people are. So it's too bad we're not doing this face-to-face, but still good to be with you today. It's going to be a good session, I think. So a quick introduction for myself. Again, as I said, I'm the sales manager with GlobalVision. I've been with the company 22 years now. Those of you not familiar with GlobalVision, we offer a full suite of software solutions that basically allow our customers to perform electronic inspections, electronic proofreading, comparisons. And it's really helpful to our customers who especially need to, in the pharmaceutical sector, who need to approve printed product, digital materials, promotional materials. We automate tasks that are normally manual, visual. And so for those of you not familiar with us, that's in a nutshell what we do. And those of you who are familiar with us already know quite a bit about us. And I think you'll be interested in hearing Reuben's story today and how we got started with the company. So Reuben, I'll let you do a quick intro.
So basically, I was working at the simulation company called CAE. They make flight simulators for all the airlines. Unfortunately, not a good time to be in the airline business, but that's where I started. And they're still doing that business. I loved it. I was there 5 years. And, basically, I had a cousin in the pharmaceutical printing business. And he used to always complain to me, I got fired from this pharma company. He was in pharmaceutical director of labeling. And he says, I keep getting fired. If we could just keep our customers, it would be awesome. We could do so much better. So after a couple of years of listening to him, I said, okay, all right, already. Tell me what you want. He showed me his problem. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And I basically went back and started looking into it. And I told him, you know what, if you can give me some samples, I can start working on it. So at night, I'd work on it. And after about 6 months, I said, oh, I have something. He didn't like it. So I went back to the drawing board, and about 6 months later, so after a full year, I came up with a solution. And that basically erupted. He did not buy the system until about a year later. My first customer was actually in Toronto, Canada. It was a small company called Ethicon, and they're part of the Johnson & Johnson family, and they bought the first system. So it took me 6 months, and basically I had no product. I just said, if you put down 50% deposit, I'll get you a system in 6 months. So I had no product. And I developed it over a 3-month period and gave them a first prototype, which they really liked. And they completed the order, and then they ordered another one. So the second one actually looked like the first one. And Arpad was, I hired Arpad about 3 years later, and you'll attest that the product never changed from the first prototype. The prototype became the production. It worked great from day one. So that's how it kind of started, from a problem being sent to me and then kind of rising to the occasion and coming out with a product. Then the company was registered. 2 years later, just before Arpad was hired, I did incorporate the company, and off we went.
So what year was that?
I started developing in 1990 during the peak of the recession. There was a huge recession. I'm sure a lot of people don't remember it, but 1990 was a very bad time in the world, kind of like similar to today. And I sold systems during a recession, which was really interesting. So it was and then 2 years later, That's when the company incorporated and went off to, and actually that year, actually a year later, we did our first trade show within Jacob Javits Center to the pharmaceutical show. It's called Interfex. Remember that one, Arpad?
Interfex? Yeah.
So that show's still going on, and we got 250 leads during that 3-day show, and it overwhelmed us. And that's how we kind of kicked off.
That's amazing. So that first inspection system obviously had to do with print, right? You were looking at printed packaging and making sure that the accuracy of the printed packaging was up to par for pharmaceutical customers.
Oh, that's interesting you bring it up. So we did start off with in the QC incoming control, incoming departments, the printing departments at the pharmaceutical printers, because there was no such thing as a PDF file, right? That did not exist. Yep. The master was a hard copy, and that's when cut and paste existed, and you basically had color keys and chromalins and all these type of masters. Maybe people don't know those names, but I'm taking you back maybe too far, about 35 years, and the world was all hard copy. But we started off in that realm of hard materials, checking the final print to see if it was good. To the QA department in a pharma company wanted to know, am I good to go? Do I have any errors? Because I have my CEO and QA manager and everybody approved the hard copy. Did the printer end up with the same job? Is it printed correctly? And that's all we needed to answer at that time. So that was the first entry into this world.
And I mean, looking back then, did you ever think you'd be where you are today?
Well, it's interesting because that company that I first that helped develop it had a Toronto branch, and I worked with an engineer to basically give me feedback whether this was a product that was something he'd be interested in, did it work properly. And he says, you know what, Reuben, you'll sell 30 of these, you'll saturate the market, it'll be over. So that was really interesting. And it's actually, I thought, oh, that must be true because he's been in the business for 40 years. He must know. So I'll do it for a little while and then I'll find something else. But it didn't happen that way. Funny. It just keeps growing and growing, getting bigger and bigger. And one of the ways it got bigger was GlobalVision left its imprint on the QC side of the business. And that was our foundation. From there, we went backwards up the process to add a piece of proofreading technology at every step, all the way. So we went from QC incoming control all the way to pre-press labeling and labeling in a pharma. Then we went up to graphics. Then we went up to regulatory. So over a 10, 15 year span, we walked up the food chain, up the process to accommodate the proofreading needs. And why was that important? Because the sooner you caught, so everyone was happy with the QC tool, the printing inspection system, but if you could catch the error early, that would save a lot more time and money. So that's kind of like the road we took with RPAD, not just you, but you're kind of one of the first to you've been with the company almost the whole time. And, you've seen the progression. So we actually moved up when the PDF came out, as technology advanced, we had to adapt as well. So we walked up the process to accommodate the entire food chain, the process within a pharmaceutical workflow. So the development and creation of the master, of the approved original, basically to make sure that it was correct, all the way down. So when you got to the printing side, it was correct there too.
Yeah, so there's for sure, I remember the digital transformation, as I call it. I mean, we would go from the paper proofs to the electronic proofs. And I know in the pharma industry, the PDF was a slow adoption, but I remember the transition from paper to PDF to PDF to PDF to text. And so I've heard you use the phrase many times before, destructive technology. I know you believe in that. So why don't you tell everyone just what you mean by that in terms of what's next for GlobalVision and what you see as sort of like the next thing when it comes to our technology and where we're moving towards.
Okay. So what's interesting is the way people access our technology. I think it's the access that's changing. So, and what's really important. So it's where you get to use our software. It's not just a desktop, where you have a computer, you turn it on and you use it on your desk. you've got to be able to use it when you're traveling, when you go home, when you're at the office, when you're at another department in your company. You need to be able to access it anywhere. And so that's one part of it. The other part is where you access it from. So you don't want to just get it from GlobalVision. You want to be able to get it from other key suppliers. So what's really become more of a standard over the last few years is a lot of companies, primarily our companies, which are all regulated ones, have primary systems, whether it's LIMS systems or it's artwork management systems or PLM systems, product life cycle management systems, all these larger systems. They want to be able to log into these single systems and access everything they need from there. So GlobalVision is making basically a lot of our development over the last 3 years has been to accommodate this need. So you'll be able to get our software in many places.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that we're going through that transition now, and globalization within the pharma company and pharma companies themselves have pushed that development simply because they are implementing large systems, artwork management systems. So I know that we play a key role in product release, in product proofreading, and the integration of our product into these systems, I think, is going to definitely serve some value for us moving forward. So I absolutely agree. Switching topics a little bit, I know you just mentioned web. I know that if you want to talk about web, I know that you've always mentioned, and I know you mentioned this about 5 or 6 years ago, your philosophy was we need to get out of the box. I think you kind of alluded that a little bit, but you had mentioned that web was going to be the next thing, and I know that we are the pioneers in this technology as a web-based solution as well.
Yeah, so we have basically the way the company has reorganized in terms of key products is we divided up all our key applications, so that being text, image, barcode, braille, into separate groups. Okay, and that includes also a desktop group and a web group. And there's a new group, the API group. So basically, being able to access GlobalVision across many different, accessibility is basically multi-pronged. So web being the key to develop and deliver all our solutions, no matter which way you need them. So web, of course, is great because you can access it anywhere. So we have a brand new release, which we're actually timing together with brand new R&D. So we've taken our R&D teams and focused them on key algorithms to support the new vision that we have on text and image inspection, and introducing artificial intelligence and KPIs that I know Arpad want to discuss later. So merging all these requirements together into a web platform. So we have basically, we're not going to discuss timelines in this or roadmaps in this, but you could see, maybe if you want to call Arpad and speak to him after, but basically later this year, mid to late year, we have a bunch of releases for web and API deployments.
I should mention, if anybody has any questions during the course of this conversation, the Q&A is open. So just post your questions on the Q&A, and I'll actually ask those questions live if you're interested in a few comments from Reuben about different aspects of the business. Again, if you want to get back into that introduction and how we started, if you have questions there, feel free to just ask your questions by all means. I do want to talk COVID-19 for a moment. So obviously, we're both working remote. The whole company is working remote. So, I mean, how do you feel it's impacted our business?
So let me talk first a higher level for how it impacts everybody. So like I started off the discussion, like basically GlobalVision started with a problem. So problems are opportunities as well. So I know a lot of darkness hovers around COVID-19. It's very dark, it's very upsetting, and it's very tragic for a lot of people. And for that, my heart goes out to people who really suffer through this. But it's not all black, okay? And if you want, I wrote a piece actually on our GlobalVision blog titled, "Not Everything is Broken." So not everything is broken, and things are still working. The question is, what is working, what isn't working? And for the businesses that we're in, I think most of the people on this talk today are in the pharma and food businesses, which really are part of the not broken part of the world. So it's up to us to support the rest of the world. So we have a big opportunity, and we also have the responsibility to support basically everyone else who's basically troubled here. So I also, on the COVID-19 part, we basically, when we have a crisis, everyone runs to an extreme. And right now we're on the extreme side of this pandemic. Everyone is panicking and basically doing things that aren't as planned out and as precise as we need them to be, or as they should be. So an example of that is, right now we told everybody, stay home, don't leave your homes. That's a broad stroke. That's painting everybody with the same brush. When we get a little further down this path, we'll start being more surgical about our approach to this, and things will start to relax, and we'll deal with the problem. We're not really dealing with the problem properly right now. And just like, you know, in the companies that we deal with, they have all these problems they're trying to solve. Eventually you do solve them. It's like a mouse in a maze. You hit a wall. What do? You don't stop. You turn left or right until you get out of this maze. So right now we're kind of caught in this maze, and we have to keep turning left and right until we get out of it, and we will get out. But the question is, it's how we get out. So what's important is to keep fighting and keep working and to solve the problem. And I'm sure there's thousands of people out there looking to solve this problem, which will become a huge opportunity for the rest of us. And I just want to add one more thing. If you remember Y2K, basically, remember when 1999 turned to 2000, all computers were going to shut down, the world was going to cease. That was a good thing that it happened because it prepared us for 2008 financial crisis. So same thing I see with COVID-19. This crisis, as bad as it is preparing and gearing us up so that we'll prepare with, in the future, we'll have the PPEs available for the entire world. We'll have proper testing set up. We'll have the ventilators built and stored. We'll have more knowledge about how to build vaccines. So it's a problem which creates great opportunity for, you know, God forbid there's another incident like this in the future, we'll be much better prepared. So maybe we're being armed for something that we need to be armed for, which we were defenseless against. So maybe this is something that had to happen and must happen for us to basically do better next time.
Yeah, well said. And I couldn't have said it better myself. And I know as a company, we reacted very, very quickly. We mobilized. We all went home. We were able to, within an hour, a couple of hours, all work remote. So our team has done a fantastic job of setting us up. It's business as usual with GlobalVision. I mean, we are a software company at heart. So programmers, I think, are used to isolation, right? But I know that you initiated a project where, with our web-based system, you're offering essentially 30 and 60-day licenses for free. So those who were using older versions, you initiated a program where you said, okay, well, you know what? I understand everyone's hurting right now. I understand we ought to move, but we're not going to cut you off. You can continue using GlobalVision. And I think that was a great initiative.
So we've received, just to go a little bit back before I answer that question directly, we've received numerous letters from companies reminding us that we're a critical service and we better stay in business and continue providing services and support to them. So that's not a problem. We have been doing that. As Arpad said, we geared up years ago to work remotely. We've got our accounting systems remote. We are you know, basically all set up and working probably better and more efficiently than we did in the office. So it's really business as usual for us. Nothing's really changed. So it's lucky for us.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know about you, but, you know, I'm a social person. I'm a salesperson, so I want to see and meet people all the time. But I just find that, and I've had this conversation with a few people, that we've been communicating actually more than we normally would have. We're used to being just in our offices, and now you're forced to with that interaction. So I think it actually has helped quite a little bit in an ironic way. But I couldn't have said it better in terms of that strategy that you've implemented. It's amazing. We have to take one turn at a time. So what do you see as, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to add that, so companies that are customers, basically, who have purchased desktop solutions, especially the hardware solutions, not all of them are able to go and use them. So what you said before is we had to offer them the web services to do their print inspection and graphics inspection and approvals basically from home. A lot of people are still working from home. So we offered free licenses. You have a license from GlobalVision. Don't worry about it. We know you can't use it. Here's an alternate one, but we also made it available to a lot of companies who don't have GlobalVision at all to say, look, maybe it's an opportunity for you to try and see, what it can do for you. But especially being web controlled, have web access to proofreading lets you work from anywhere, which is proven today with this whole crisis how valuable that is. So it's going to be really important for companies after this, or even during this, to start coming to GlobalVision and say, look, even though we bought a desktop solution, please back us up with a web solution. And I just want to clarify, if people don't know what an API is, basically it's a web solution is, if you purchase a server to put in your company to use privately, that's kind of like the enterprise solution we sell. An API is basically a piece of software that basically sits on our server, but any company in the world, any of your suppliers could basically integrate into their product, so you have access to GlobalVision software. So that could be numerous, basically PLM systems or AMS systems providers, LIM systems, whatever product that you currently use, you can basically say, hey, I'd like GlobalVision in there. Can you just tap it in so that, link it in there so that I have access to proofreading too?
Yeah, and I think also to add to that, and I think you mentioned this with AI, artificial intelligence, is proofreading without proofreading. Essentially, it's inspection without an operator. Let the system perform the task of inspection and alert the user when there's an issue. So automation, I think, is going to be a key driving factor out of this. And again, if we come back to that COVID situation, you had mentioned that, it now forces people to change. It forces companies to change. It forces us to change. And I think there's going to be innovation there. I think there's going to be an acceleration of innovation, even for us as a company. And I know we are already striving with those innovations, but I think absolutely, I think there's going to be some interesting times ahead. So I guess my question then is back to the COVID is how do you see, or what do you imagine happening in the next 6 months? What do you think the next 6 months are going to look like?
Okay, so basically automation means to our customers being able to run a task, an inspection, a proofreading task without the operator. So there are some suppliers of ours that actually do that already. And you're part of a larger system, an ecosystem. That's possible. Everyone knows us as a desktop. We're one user. Instead of having 2 or 3 people proofreading, you have our system, which requires just one person, which is great. But to automate it where no user is involved is another type of system that you can contact RPAT. There are basically suppliers of ours that do that already. But in terms of basically, like if you want to automate something, artificial intelligence is something that brought up, and that is basically more, I find it for the people in our world, like our customers, pharma and food, it's more of a fad. Artificial intelligence, everybody says they have it, nobody kind of knows what it is and what it does for you, but in our world, it's kind of like a bit of a fad. But let me explain where GlobalVision kind of sits in artificial intelligence, where it would help you. So imagine you have one of our systems, you're proofreading, and you're basically in front of a list of differences. So you have 20. But the thing is, you have to go through them, and you may not be totally focused on all of them. Wouldn't it be nice if artificial intelligence would say, hey, you don't like periods missing when there's a dosage. So why not highlight those and focus your attention on the ones that are more critical, because the system saw you reject differences in the past. Maybe the last year, it saw you basically call this a critical or reject these differences. It remembers. So it's artificial intelligence for our industry is remembering what you don't like. If I could remember what you don't like every time you see one, or one of your colleagues, you've trained the system, so if someone else comes on, you're on vacation, you're not there, your colleague will basically be dealt with your likes and dislikes, right? So the people using it kind of build up the intelligence. So that would be a great use of artificial intelligence, because the systems, the only intelligent person, I'm sure you've heard this from me or our other salesmen, the only intelligence is in front of the computer, right? It's you. There's really no intelligence.
I've heard that.
There's no intelligence in the computer. So it wouldn't be nice to add it, because if you think about it, these systems don't know what they're looking at. They don't know where they are, and they don't know what an error is to you, right? Because for some companies, it's an error, it's a critical error. For some, they don't really care about it. Like for instance, color. In pharmaceutical, if the color is a little bit lighter, they don't really care. But if you're in cosmetic, they care a lot. So different industries, different companies all have different needs and wants and what they consider to be an error. So it would be nice if the system would learn for every unique company what it is that you're concerned about. So one thing that we're going to be adding is the remembering of a system to what you basically call the critical error, and also the ability to read. So in order for artificial intelligence to work, it's got to be able to read. So for instance, if I have a graphic, two images, I'm comparing a PDF to a print. If I see something, it's let's say 25.8, and the point is missing, it's just a point to the computer. But if it sees 25.8 milligrams, it knows, oh, this is a dosage. This is important. It's not just a dot like an ink splatter or a piece of dust. This is really big, so I'm reading it differently. I know this is big. So reading is something that we're adding to all our systems, including barcode. So for instance, barcode is going to be able to read the human readable. So the digits underneath the barcode to see, does it match the barcode, the actual bars? And looking back at the list to see what the barcode is. So let's say if it's aspirin, it reads the barcode and says, oh, this is an aspirin product. Is it actually an aspirin image? So do those things match? So being able to think a little bit beyond what it normally does.
And so I've seen that, yeah, and I've seen that all the time from questions from customers, right? I mean, we obviously provide the tools to show you the analysis, but taking that analysis result and then having a system analyze the analysis almost as a way of describing it. Do you see that as being the next evolution of where GlobalVision is headed with product?
Yes.
Again, you kind of explained it, but yeah, that's.
So basically, so KPIs, so key performance indicators, basically looking at data. So data is the big thing that our systems have not used in the past. So basically we're starting to, our software teams, our development teams are actually working on this now, and our IT's helping them out basically to look at the data. So let me give you an example where data would come in handy. You basically find a critical error, okay? Wouldn't it be nice to know which proofreader found it? Then wouldn't it be nice to know basically which graphic artist did it, which printer printed it, so get all that information so you can start keeping statistics on how things, basically investigating. Data is good to investigate how did it happen so you can prevent it from happening again. So we're going to be building up and using all the data. So basically every time you log into a computer, you know, to note the date and time, the user who logged in, how long they were on the system, what samples they were using, you know, and basically collect all this, and to basically have all the data, and then up to every customer to take the data and generate their own reports. So you should have the ability to create your own custom reports every single time you use it.
Yeah, I totally agree, and we see that again. We see that all the time with some of our products, and what's coming out in the future. So that leads me to a little bit on the next topic is partners. So we mentioned, for those of you not familiar, AMS, artwork management systems, document management systems, PLM systems, and I've heard you say this all the time. We want to be friends with everyone. So if you want to talk a little bit about that concept and partnerships and how our partners help our customers get access to GlobalVision.
Okay, so we have partners in every aspect of our customers' lives. So whether it's basically the artwork, or it could be the approval, routing, all these kind of partners that our customers are involved with. We have partners in clinical trials and all these different aspects of the business. So medical writers. So basically being able to tie into where our customers are. So we want to be where you are. So you don't want to have to go to a separate system or leave your, ask someone else to do the task. You should be able to make the request yourself, or just do it yourself, or have access to the results. So we have partners in every aspect that basically can get our software either directly But what's happening now is to be able to manage the load and the demand for proofreading technologies, which has really risen dramatically over the last few years, is the API. So we're in the production of APIs to be able to produce these, to be able to give to all our partners so they could easily integrate it and provide these tools to you, our customers, anywhere and everywhere. So whatever system you're on, whichever you prefer, you can get access to it.
Yeah, definitely. We've definitely seen a lot of opportunities rise in the last couple of years, especially when with partner integrations where it may not be a department activity anymore, it's an enterprise activity, and having our software plug into enterprise solution, I think is going to be, and it is a key part of our business, absolutely. Actually, I have a question that came in. I'm just reading it off the screen right now. It says, what about print inspection? Where do you see that going in the future? So I guess the question is more related to web and how print is going to be connected to web.
Okay, so actually there's two initiatives. The web has already been done. We've already taken care of it. So our web product has been upgraded to be able to handle print inspection. So we do have a profile in the web inspection to be able to handle print. So there's digital, which is typical what our customers want to inspect. So a PDF to PDF. But if you have a scan, basically there's 4 or 5 profiles now. There's an ability to be able to inspect a scan. So someone can scan your print somewhere in the world while you may be 1,000 miles away, can inspect it against the PDF using our web platform. But the other thing we're doing is our GlobalVision started with a camera. You know us right now as a scanner-based system for hardware. For print inspection, you're using a scanner, but we're actually coming back to the camera to be able to add that back into our portfolio so that you can have instant access. So that might include this, so the iPhone or the Android. So being able to take a picture. So we started experiments with the barcodes. So barcodes, you'll be able to do that soon with a phone to be able to either go, no go, if the barcode's correct. But to do that with images is something that we're looking into as well.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, the ability to do quality control on the fly, it just opens up a whole new area for the company. I mean, I've heard even in things like developing regions where there's a lot of counterfeiting going on, to be able to take your phone and take a snapshot of a product and make sure that it's accurate, that to a barcode, to a monograph, to a picture. So those are some really interesting things and things to definitely look forward to. I just want to again mention to the audience, there's quite a few on here, that if you have any questions, please post them into the chat. I am moderating it right now, and I do see some questions coming in. Oh, there's a good question, actually. So the question is, what about connecting or being able to connect between, let's say, a pharma and a printer, to be able to bridge the gap between printer and supplier, so to speak, or supplier to printer, where maybe they could be checking on press and validating against the PDF, if you know what I mean, like that really early inspection and making sure the errors are catched early in the process.
So I'd say the part that I think that's left out or ignored is the proof stage. So there's the print inspection, but let's not forget the proof. So before you even start, right? So I think the most valuable opportunity there is all proofs right now. I'd say 90% of proofs now are digital. They're not hard copy anymore. So that gives the opportunity for most companies to take advantage of our web solutions, where you take the digital proof and compare it back to your PDF and do that on one of our web solutions, and you get an instant response. And both your printer and the food or pharma companies should have the system too, because the problem there is it's always unclear who has the responsibility to check the proof. And often I find that nobody checks the proof. So everyone assumes the other one's doing it. So I think that's the biggest risk, is nobody's doing it. The print job runs without doing that first check, and that's where the big miss is. Now, if you want to be able to check the print, same thing. The digital system is just fine. The only problem is you have this printed component. How do you get it into a digital system? So all you have to do is scan it, and it becomes digitized. It's digital now, and you use it the same way as you do with any PDF to PDF compare. So it's basically as simple as you can go to Best Buy or to Staples and get yourself a small little scanner if you have to. You scan it in, and it becomes digital, and you can do that check.
Awesome. You know what, again, that sounds amazing. And I still, in thinking back, Reuben, 22 years ago, you said the camera, and I wish I had asked marketing for a picture of the camera system. I didn't get it in time, and I wish I could put that up to show everybody. But you know, you can contact us, and I'll send you a picture of that first camera system. I know you have one at the office.
Yeah.
It's nostalgic. I give people tours of the building, and I show them that first system. And I said, "Can you believe it all started with this simple little camera system that did take you 2 years?" I know it was 2 years, you said, before you developed and you got your first customer. But again, I mean, it's been a heck of a story. I want to thank you for joining me today on this Q&A. I appreciate everyone who signed in and asked their questions. We will be making videos of this available for everyone afterwards. So Reuben, I don't know if you have any final words or comments before we call it a meeting.
So basically, I just want to close by saying that we've made huge investments in the company, building up our R&D teams and our development teams by segregating them into specialized groups. And you're going to see a lot of great software coming out. I don't want to basically let the cat out of the bag, but for every aspect, every inspection type, we basically have made some incredible strides on inspection. Things that you thought weren't possible, we've done. And I'd invite you to contact our sales team like ARPAT to find out exactly what we did. There's a lot of exciting stuff that you will find out eventually, but if you want to get an early jump on that, you can call up ARPAT and find out.
I will be more than happy to speak to anybody that wants to talk about this stuff. It's amazing. Quite the journey. Thank you for sharing again, Reuben. Really appreciate it. And again, our emails and phones are open. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns about anything GlobalVision, you're more than welcome to contact us directly. Again, I want to thank everyone for joining. Thank you, Reuben. And most important, of course, everyone is stay safe and stay safe with you and your family. So thank you very much. And we look forward to the next one. Yeah.
I just want to say also thank you to all our customers who've supported us over the 30 years. And we really appreciate your loyalty and support GlobalVision. And we continue to try and strive to deliver great technology to support everybody. So thank you again.
Thank you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.